Welcome back to the Positively Negative podcast,
where we talk about life, love, and the pursuit of positivity in a world that can be quite negative.
I'm Dalio.
And I'm Team Humble.
And we're glad you're here. I love that. That can stay.
Okay.
That's kind of scary.
We're so clever, because you said my name and I said your name.
But
Get
did you hear the last part of the intro play?
Yeah, when it laughed before the laughter.
Yeah.
Pre-laugh. Ordained.
Pre-laugh.
We need a little bit of laughter.
Yeah, I need my headphones to be louder so that I can't hear you, because I feel like we're in the damn Matrix.
It's your dream. Just tune me out.
All right, there you go. What? Dream? I'm frustrated with technology right now.
I'm sorry. I feel so helpless in those moments because I know how frustrating it is being on the other end, but I have no way to help you. It's a bit like when I get stuck in Illustrator or Photoshop, and it's like, I can do a Google search.
I think the best bet is if I come off the actual... shouldn't be doing this in the middle of a podcast, really, but I think the best bet is if I come off the actual unit and is looking for a connector. Where does the connector go?
What do you want to connect directly into your machine?
I want to connect directly into the Matrix, and I want to upload myself, and I want to forget about the world.
Heart to heart.
What's that? I had it a minute ago, but it's gone now.
Come on.
I took it out of the thing. So we're not doing the usual method of doing it with Zencastr. I've added additional stress to my life by trying to do it locally, which is great, isn't it? Because now I don't know where anything is. It's great.
Well,
I had it a minute ago. I just pulled the plug
the
off.
adapter, the 3.5
Here it is.
millimeter
I got it.
adapter. He's got it, ladies and gentlemen. He made it.
So yeah, that's my negativity for today. Is yes, it's great when everything is set up, but it's an absolute ball ache. Let me plug this into here. Hang on a minute.
Here.
Alright.
Oh, that sounds creamy and delicious. So, we got cables moving, but we are okay. Phil's got his mic in his mouth while we rearrange some things. But how are you doing today? I hope you're well.
Why can't we hear anything from what about that? That's better, isn't it? Yeah? Volume.
Yeah, volume.
I don't know if I can hear myself speak though.
Yeah.
1, 2.
Oh, there he is.
1,
Can
2.
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Wow.
That's better. That's without all the other stuff. That's direct from the
Right from the source.
Yeah, I was going through my this is going to take a while to get all set up, but I was going through the DSP, which sounds nicer, but it's a little bit laggy. Only by a few milliseconds, but I can tell when I'm looking at you and I can hear myself. It's like hey everybody, sorry we haven't podcasted in weeks, but we've been doing stuff and building things and adapting to the new year and filling our life full of stress and frustration and buying bulk products just in case all the borders shut down for Brexit. Saw something about Brexit the other day to do with licenses for van drivers, and supposedly there was a time period that van drivers had to apply for a license in case like Brexit didn't happen.
Okay.
Or we had a failed Brexit, then the EU wanted
Brexit.
Sure. And basically there's 50,000 vans but only like 1,000 licenses issued or something. So
there's a set number, like these are the licenses.
Yeah.
Have at it, folks.
And on the website
Riot
it's
in the
like
street.
the time has expired for you to actually apply for this license. So it's all going to be a clusterfuck.
Well,
But we can go to Pet City, because Pet City has spent 8 million in making sure we have pet food for our pets in the country. So if it gets real rough, we can go and eat pet food.
I mean, if you look at what's in pet food, it's just like grains and meat parts, and that's pretty much what they sell at Greg's anyway.
That's true.
So, I mean, it's all the same. It's just in different shapes.
PetSmart Greg's. I can see it now.
Oh man, doggy sausage rolls, they make a killing if they sell them at Greg's. You can grab for an extra 50p, you can just grab a little sausage roll for your doggo.
A little dispenser thing. Oh my god! When she puts it through the till, she presses a foot pedal and it just comes out.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so we haven't done anything. We haven't recorded a podcast, and I do apologise for that. But just life's got in the way. Saying that though, I did look at the stats on Anchor, and it does seem to be that you're all nosy, and people are playing what I'm now calling the back catalogue of podcasts that we put out.
So welcome back.
Yeah,
we know you're here.
We're trying to get back to twice a week. I say back to, we've never done twice a week, or we might have done twice a week once.
Well, yeah, we do. Yeah, I mean, but we do run 2 podcasts. So this is, if you're not familiar, we have another podcast called Product Sense. So we do end up recording twice a week. To double that would end up being 4 times a week, which is totally doable. It just means we need to, I don't know what we need to do. We need to just schedule it in, really, and make sure that it happens. But it's been a bit of an adjustment phase for the beginning of the year, so I feel like we're just on the cusp of hitting a stride with that. And waking up early, which is something I want to talk about today.
Yeah,
we'll 5 a.m. life.
We'll get into that in a minute. I just realised that actually the twice a week was going to start in February, so we're actually ahead of time. Look, it says 2x a week podcast begin.
Only we could be a month ahead and feel like we were a month
Yeah, I don't know why that is.
At the same time.
We both need a run-up, though, don't we? I don't know about you, but I need a run-up to, get to tempo with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it. Mornings. How are you finding those cold mornings?
It's so hard in the winter, because I feel like everything about winter, being a human being, circadian rhythms, daylight savings, sunset, sunrise, all of it is engineered to be like, it's not time for you to be up yet, bitch. When I wake up at 5 in the winter, it's just plain black out in the middle of the night, and so your body's like, what the hell? And that's hard.
5 a.m. anywhere on planet Earth is not agreeable.
I did it for a good portion of this year, but I have to say it was much easier in the summer, because you're getting a bit of daylight by that time, getting a little bit of sunrise. If sunrise doesn't happen till 8 a.m.
Yeah, hey.
You're working in pitch blackness for the first 3 hours. So in that sense, it's difficult. You don't get that, I feel like you're fighting biology and nature waking up that early in the winter. That said, the reward is by the time it's 10 o'clock, you feel like, whoa, I'm like, I got a good handle on today, and it's only 10 a.m.,
Yeah, sure. I'm going to turn some stuff off because I feel like it's all background noise, and I do apologise, and it's warm in here for now.
Okay.
That's just made it 100 times better.
I got my hot water bottle.
Yeah, you're gonna have to forgive all the audio issues and things. I haven't even got the outro set up to play out at the end of here because I'm just having a day today.
Let's you and I talk while Phil sets that up.
I have got it. It's that. So yeah,
Okay, so
mornings. I don't mind mornings. If I get up at 5:30 and then it takes me an hour to get ready, or half an hour to be ready. I mean, you know what I'm like. I'm up and I'm about, but I'm not present.
No, we're both kind of vacant for the first hour. But that said, I would rather that first hour happen at 5. Then by the time you're up, awake, conscious, and you actually know what you're looking at your computer screen, it's around 6 a.m. Your coffee or your mint lemon water has had a moment to seep into your brain cells. And I'm just what?
How does lemon water? I certainly hope lemon water is not seeping into your brain cells.
Oh, it totally is. Your brain is 70% water.
Oh.
So if you don't replenish that,
I hate the idea of sharp lemon going into your brain. I don't know why, but that scares me.
Well, maybe the lemon goes to your gut and the water goes to your brain. I don't know if there's any lemon permeable cells in the brain.
I don't like that idea.
But either way, I'm addicted to the feel. I hate more than anything the feeling of waking up and already feeling like you're behind. First thought of the day. I'm oh damn, it's 11 o'clock. I hate that feeling. So conversely, my favorite feeling is kind of being like having it still be early in the morning, early in the scope of the day, and feeling like, whoa, I got a bunch of my things done today. So so that I'm enjoying, and I'm also enjoying only putting 7 things on my to-do list every day. That's a new skill that I'm trying. I saw somewhere that your brain can't really toggle more than 7 things a day in terms of a to-do list. So I'm experimenting with keeping my list to 7 things, and that's kind of tough given the way we work in the projects that we have going at the minute. But yeah, but today was really the first successful day of 5. Was it 5 or 5:30?
It was 5:30 today.
Man, it was successful. We've been trying for a while, but I don't know. I just feel like nature's against you.
Shaking heads doesn't translate very well on the podcast.
I'm shaking my head.
There you go.
Left, right, left, right.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm struggling at the moment to try and separate the positives from the negatives. I don't know. This time of year, I kind of go into a cryo status. I want to be like, my head is working on stuff and trying to formulate infrastructure, and my body is like, why are we not in bed sleeping, hibernating?
That's what I'm saying. You're fighting nature to be active this time of year.
I kind of want to be out in nature, but like it's too crispy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, all the cues from nature is like, hey, it's real cold. Also, it's dark. What are you doing out here? You know?
Well, nothing's open and you can't do much.
Plants don't even grow this time of year. Human, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So I do think that it's like that early bird gets the worm logic, where if you fight that, there are rewards to be gained.
Yeah.
It's a bit like playing the level on expert settings. You get better loot and more XP.
It's a tempo thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I kind of always start the beginning of the year like with really upbeat energy, and I've still got it now, but it has diminished over the last couple of weeks since the start. Like, I think the first 10 days of the year, I'm like, yes.
That's not Capricorn season anymore.
Well, there you go then.
It's Aquarius season.
Well, there you go then.
You've got to embrace your inner Aquarian.
Basically means all the land males have gone and jumped in the water.
It means that, I don't know what it means, but it does mean that we've seen some crazy blood moons and stuff out there lately. Like, I don't know. I don't understand enough of any of that to really like hinge any true beliefs on it, but I appreciate it from like a visual standpoint, like seeing these celestial events that are not supposed to happen for another 300 years or something. Ultra super wolf blood moon, waning gibbous moon. I don't know, but they're pretty. I'm not an astrologer or an astronomer, but I appreciate them. But it has been, I don't know, I feel like there has been some weird, just transition energy, I think. And that also is what's made it hard to podcast.
There's lots of things I want to be in place, I want to do and want to have done. And I truly believe that once they're all set up, I work better. I work better when I know that I just have to jump into something. You know, I'm pretty good at time management once things are running. Like, and I don't get too Nemo fish about something.
So it's like the setup and the structure that you have a problem with. Because I feel like you're good at that. Like, I feel like we can have an idea and then you're like in Trello, you're using some app to like pad it out. You've got 50 things running, and then it's like the structure's there, ready to be filled in.
I don't know.
But maybe does that take up a lot of energy, and then by the time you get to the project, you're just like, you feel like you don't have anything left for the actual doing of it?
No,
or?
I think the thing is always evolving in my head. Like, there's always something evolving into something else, and I'm adapting to those cycles as well. I think I'm thinking of from an energy perspective. I'm kind of like, all right, how much energy have I got to really spend on this? Like, and so doing the courses, for instance, like recording stuff, putting it up, then seeing the stats reacting in a couple of days. Like, we have some students, we have some, you know, like that is like, oh, cause and effect. It's like, I've caused this, I've recorded these bits, that's the cause, and then the effect is this.
Yeah.
So then I'll be locked into that for a while, and that's fine. But then I know I'm dropping the ball on other stuff. So I try and work on those things and bring them up at the same time, and then it becomes this balance. I think all digital workers have some level of that.
Yeah.
You know, where something comes along and it's like, I need to have a present. It's a bit like when MySpace came along, and then all of a sudden it was like Twitter, and then all of a sudden it was like Instagram, and it was like everybody wanted to be on everything. Because it was like, oh, this is new, or yes, I need that, or, you know, it was just like, I feel like we're going through that again a little bit with crypto, because now people are frustrated with passwords being leaked and content that they've been putting up for the last 3 or 4 years on YouTube being demonetized. And so we're in a weird place because crypto is being heavily manipulated. So there's no like good news out there. It's constantly like, oh, we're having a green day tomorrow, it'll be terrible. Like, and yet at the same time, it's like, well, we need to transition from these centralized platforms to these platforms. And what's different with this time, I think, is that you can build your own community. If you really, really like are a van dweller, or you're into horticultural things, like you can build that front end, and you can.
Right.
But the problem is then you kind of, I feel like we're defending something that's not fully realized yet, and I don't know if it will be fully realized for a while.
Well, maybe we need to have more blockchains that don't have a currency or a token attached to them, just the blockchain itself, because I think that's a lot of what those two worlds coming together is what creates a lot of the misinformation and a lot of the talk about scammers and people watching the prices and, you know, people shilling garbage, when really I would love to see more of the conversation about blockchains be about the things that we can build on top of them, and the fact that they're decentralized, and the fact that it's an alternative to, like, YouTube, for, you know, to use your example, and just get away from the whole money talk about it.
Well, I'd like it to move away from even blockchains. I kind of dig the idea of tokenization, because that sounds more easy to talk to people about. Because if you remember when, like, Girl Guides or Cub Scouts, you were given like badges for achievements, right? And if there's one thing that's being manipulated heavily, it's like, did you do this job? Like, are you able to do this job? Do you have these skills? Have you really done those things that you say you've done? So I kind of really like the idea of like immutable smart contracts. That is like almost if you think of legal, like, you know, I'm going to do this thing by this date and then you pay me. And then on the back of that, it's like, once you've done that, here's a reward for that. Right. So, and that makes sense to your average Joe, rather than if you know technology or not. It's like, if you do the skill, you get the badge, you know? Right. So I kind of want it to be just work. It's like, I don't know. It's like when we first got our hands on an iPod for the first time. It's like, shit, I can put all my albums on here and get rid of all my albums. And then what did we do? We put all our music on there and still had all the fucking albums. Yeah. We didn't get rid of anything. It didn't improve anything. And what's actually happened now, 4 years down the line, is everybody's got every iteration of fucking iPod or iPad or mini device, and you end up seeing them on like YouTube of people going, oh yeah, this version, this, you know, like we've become consumed by trying to reduce, I don't know, I'm overwhelmed by a lot of it, I think. Yeah,
it is overwhelming, but it also doesn't, it's like hard to have an opinion on something that that doesn't even know what it is yet. Like, I feel like I've
just been paid.
Ta-da.
Got two good things. See, again, this is the thing that gets me as well, and it's a perfect example as we're talking, is now we live now in reactionary times, right?
Yeah.
Like, when I did a 9-to-5 job, I knew what I was going to be doing and I could pad it out. Like,
well, you could work at your own pace instead of reacting to things that are incoming. Like, I feel like it was more on the offensive, where now I work, it sucks, but I work more on the defensive, where I'm like, what's here for me today to react to, or to deal with, or to, you know, respond to.
But that doesn't set us up for the other things that we enjoy, which is the creativity of because it's not in our pursuit of optimizing our lives, we've kind of sacrificed patience almost.
Well, that's why I work with do not disturb mode on my computer and my phone like all day.
Right.
Because like I don't have the self-esteem to not like pick
Jump
up my
into
phone or get distracted, or like when that little thing comes in the top right corner of my screen, I'm like, ugh. Like you can't not be. We're trained to be reactive to those things. So when something's calling for your attention, I don't even want to invest the time or the discipline to fight that. I just remove myself from it because so it's like an alcoholic. Like you wouldn't walk into a bar if you were an alcoholic and see how long you could hold out.
That's true.
You know, you might as well just like
You might as well just get it over and done with.
Yeah, like hit the Starbucks up down the street instead. Just hit like say, and I feel like that's a lot of what a lot of the skills that I've developed in the past year has been setting up my workspace physically and virtually in a way that works, that in the way that I can do my best work. Like, so I feel like so much of what I do isn't as much the work as the work to set myself up to work efficiently. Like we were talking about that Workspaces app, which I think we're going to do a course on at some point. The, just like those little hacks, tips and tricks. And that can become a distraction in itself of being like, oh, I want to set this up. I want to do this. And you could spend all your time doing the work of work without doing any work. And that's a balance to find too. But having like the self-awareness to know what your pitfalls are and trying to use technology to help them instead of just being pulled. Like, I don't want to be taking these digital breadcrumbs all day.
No.
And just going from one thing to the other, and then look up and I'm like a million miles away from where I want to be. So, and that's not something, like maybe people who are younger than us are going to have those skills, but we never had to build that in. It was just like one thing led to another, and then all of a sudden it's like everybody's depressed, everyone's got anxiety, everyone's on their phone too much. Well,
I think there's a lot to be said for legacy. Like if I talk to you about, like, or if I said to you, all right, we need to send some money to another country, right? You could probably list off all the different communication methods that you've ever learnt about or known about, from telegram to fax machine.
Sure.
So, unfortunately, I can't erase that stuff from my brain.
No.
It's there somewhere. And so your brain almost has to circle through all that stuff to be like, oh, this is the latest information you have on what's efficient today.
Yeah.
Whereas this new generation, it's like, it's on the App Store. Like,
yeah,
I can click on it and it's somebody else's problem.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's something to be said about that. There's a positive reinforcement experience about that it just works, or there's a way to make it work. Whereas back in the day, we were the guinea pigs of like, it may not work.
Or it may not even exist in 6 months.
It might not work. But then it also had the ramifications that, like, a bit like the story I told you about going to America with like 100 quid and spending all my like dollars I got changed and having a £50 note and going into a little place in Tulsa with this £50 note, and I'm looking at it like I just landed in the car park.
I mean, yeah.
They were like, why would we want that? Like, looking at me like, what, who is this? Like,
where's that gonna
the queen?
Spend
it? We haven't got a queen. Like,
no, sir.
Why would I give you value for this? Like, so I don't know. I get hung up by legacy, I think, a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. I don't know. I have a problem with like perfectionism, so it's always like perfection being the enemy of progress. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes when I have to choose an app, let's say taking that example, for a specific choice, I want to make sure I have one that is good, one that is like that I can sustain using, one that's going to grow with me as I grow, or whatever my parameters are of the problem I need to solve. And that's helpful, having like a multifaceted like requirement set, I guess, for digital tools, but it does slow the ship down instead of just being like, you said, do a search on the App Store and be like, here's one.
Yeah, I struggle not with the perfectionist thing, because obviously if I took that much time over something, my biggest problem with that is that it would be a better result, but it'd be 3 months out of date, right? And we live in a world now where actually been in a number of places. It's getting to the point, I think, with AI and chatbots and things like that, that actually the new person at the exchange who used to use wires back in the day to connect the switchboard up to connect people, like that is the AI and the chatbots now.
Yeah.
I don't know what the algorithm's going to be for that. I know one of the algorithms might be searching through the Steam blockchain for stuff that I posted or relevant at a certain time, but it's going to be who can do this for me right now.
Yeah.
Who's available right now? Who's got a good track record? And it's going to look at your Upwork. It's going to look at your Twitter. It's going to look at that. They were around at this time. They did this. They just play. That's going to come real quick.
That's a prediction, though. And
yeah.
like
everything's that way now.
That's the thing. It's like, how can you have? It's like, it's hard because we don't know where any of this stuff is going to go. Any of crypto, we don't know if it's going to be highly regulated or, I mean, it is going to be highly regulated, but
we'll just do John McAfee.
Yeah, McAfee 2020. Running his campaign from a boat in the middle of who knows where, Argentina or something.
I wish John McAfee was my dad.
No, you don't.
I kind of do.
No, you don't.
I kind of do.
You wish he was your like crazy uncle.
All right,
not your dad.
Yeah, you're right.
Who
Crazy
was like
uncle.
responsible for you as a human being.
Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. Dad was a bad decision.
What's going on there?
Well, on my phone.
Yeah.
I'm just applying for an Upwork job. I'm being like on time. Like, no, I got invited to one.
Good.
I got invited to one, so I'm reacting to it in real time while we're on the podcast.
See, this is what I mean.
Yeah, well, I'm not distracted. I'm just interested in getting some work in because I need to, pay stuff. Like, the podcast isn't a self-contained thing. Like, it's already screwed. Because
we need your money.
It's already screwed because we were doing it over...
It's not screwed.
It is in my mind. You see, this is my point.
Okay, so let's talk through that. Let's talk through the frustration of that. A, it didn't work the way you expected.
Why is it an A-B thing?
Well, I want to break it down. Like, what are the things about it that puts you off so much other than, like, I expected it to be this way and it's not?
I opened this app last week and I set all that up so that it'd be ready.
And you wrote a course about it.
I did, and I tested that block.
Yeah.
And it was fine. I open it today, I put some audio in it, it goes... It's playing it at twice the speed. Why?
So nothing changed when you recorded for the course?
It's exactly the same. It's the same template that I used. The only problem I had last week was with the audio inputs, which I resolved and had to re-record in the video because you have to be crafty with the left and right of the channel, otherwise you just get mono. Because these are mono mics, so you have to bounce it. So there was that. It was a little bit awkward. But that audio block should just be an audio player.
So is the part of the frustration now like a distrust, being like, now I don't know what I'm going to get next time I open this because...
Well, there's that.
Up is down, left is right, and I can't depend on this.
Yeah, there's no... Exactly, you just nailed it. I can't depend on this.
Right.
I have to now... In my brain, I'm like, I need a backup solution to this.
So it's less of, I was expecting X and I got Y, and more of like now I can't depend on this.
I can't depend on it,
fully.
But I don't understand it. And my brain is like...
Yeah, that's the worst when you don't know how you fixed something.
Well...
That's the absolute worst.
Why is it playing at twice the speed? The only thing I can think of...
This is playing our intro. I was like...
But the only thing I can think of is it's because I was playing it through another device, right? I was playing it through like an EQ or something, and that was messing it up in some way. So the EQ... So I deleted the whole block and put it in again, but...
And that did it?
Yeah, it did it. But like, it did it at the very time I wanted to do the recording. You see, because I've got used to, and this again comes down to, being comfortable and apathetic in some ways, but I got used to the way Zencastr works, and it worked every week. So the moment it doesn't work and you go from like remote to local, the audio changes, the quality changes, and in my mind, that perfectionist thing that you're on about, I want to at least have the same quality, because in my mind it's like, oh, so people are going to listen to this, it's going to be different. Like, there's just all these, like, embers of, like...
And so all of that, like, the amalgamation stirred up in the pot is... Now it's fucked.
Yeah. It's annoying.
I mean, I understand all of the...
I'm letting it go.
Individual parts, but the gestalt of it, I feel like we could flip around. like the individual, like I get that. I totally get why that's frustrating. I wouldn't, that wouldn't lead me to the end point of it's fucked.
No, but you never worked in a help desk for 5 years of your life where having the absolute answer was paramount to getting off the phone as quick as possible, right? And what I mean by that, is people where I used to work in IT used to find problems that I don't know how they find them. I don't know. So like, I mean, you've probably done that in sales, so not IT, but something
with that too,
yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Because print drivers never work the way you want them to.
Again, legacy. You know, it's like it's like if I'm going to recommend this to somebody because I find it convenient and it's a good piece of software and I like this company, you know, then I've become this person where I have to get in touch with this company and go through that bug report or what it is. It's obvious that somebody's engineered it a certain way, and it's just like the knock-on effect of. I actually have a feeling now that because I opened this up and those two mics were not there until I replugged the USB in again, it might be something.
Plug it in first and then launch the software.
Maybe, but
it's like
stupid stuff.
That stuff is so finicky. Like I learned that right away with video stuff, with printer drivers. Like the fact that you can something plugged in and powered on in a certain order means the difference of it working and not. Like, and you always talk about like these are the things that keep people from, like, my dad is the worst. My dad will just be like, one thing will be different from the way he expected it and be like, this is why I don't use computers. Like, that's it. He's done. And this is why I hate technology, because it never works.
And I think also within that is the opportunity is that I'm excited for that time when in the next, if we get there, because of the way that the planet, and I always like worried that the planet's going to like just dissolve before we actually get there, but we're going to end up, hopefully, this utopian place where we don't talk about latency anymore. We don't talk about, oh, the internet's dropped off or the Wi-Fi doesn't work anymore. It's going to be super fast, global, everywhere. Probably invasive, probably too, like, you know, you have to watch films like She, you know, from, I can't remember the director now.
Well, it was Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson were in it.
Right.
I don't remember the...
I don't remember the director, but the whole premise of that is that you've got this operating system AI in your ear all the time, and it's always on, it's always connected.
Yeah.
You never saw any latency or dropout or any problems. So I think once the internet becomes like remote control, like people who do 9 to 5 and they're quite happy with their menial job, who come home and press the remote control, bang, channel, done. That's an opportunity for us. Like, if we're everywhere, if we've got all that like stuff that we've been accumulating up to that point, and it's easy for you to access, you know, like, show me all the media that my dad made, or like my you know, what is the modern day like photo album? Do you know what I mean? Like,
sure. But I also think, like, going back to frustration, I think it's also an age thing, because I remember what I was able to put up with when I was younger. Like, if something didn't work, it just like you would just keep doing it and it wouldn't really bother you or affect the way you thought about it the next time. Like, I remember, and maybe it's also because it was an early version of the internet and web tools, but like, I just remember being so okay with like Photoshop just quitting on me 15 times in a setting. Like, I'd be like, ah, damn it, and then start it back up. It wouldn't be this like, but that would be like jettisoned. It wouldn't be this like,
no, not for me,
pile on frustration like over and over and over.
Not for me. I want a resolution. I want a resolution. Like, how do I fix it? Why is it like that?
Yeah.
Why would I pay for this software when I can get a piece of open source that does this?
That's the thing. I think when you're young, you don't ask any of those follow-up questions. You just deal with what's in front of you, and then you're not processing on any other level. And like, now, that's something that I'd be like about for, you know, hours, or until the project's done, or the next time the bill came in, I'd be like, oh, well, where's my discount for the time that I lost because your software crashed, or whatever, you know? And I guess like the overgeneralization of that is just like, is people saying that when you get older you get grumpier. But I think it's just because you know the value of time. And you know what a scarce resource it is. And so when things like don't work or they let you down, it's like, if it really comes down to feeling like it's wasting time. It's
one of the reasons why I got out of IT and technical support, though, and building websites and all that, is that I don't have all the outcomes anymore. I can't build a website and then somebody like ring me up a week later and say my website's been hacked, and it's like, then I have to explain to them that it's not personal, that it's actually 100,000 websites got hacked in the world. It's like, well, why did you suggest WordPress? Like, you know, because 30% of the world use it. Like, does that mean 30% have had this problem? Like, I don't like being the person who gives bad advice. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like we've moved into a different, where the planet has moved into a different kind of era. You know, I feel also technology has moved into a different era, where now the currency of, like, you know, it's like a bit like the job for life situation. Like, it must have been easy in some ways, been like, oh, you're gonna go, my boy is gonna follow me into this job, and you're gonna have a job for the next 10 or 15 years. Because
it wasn't Jiro Dreams of tech support, was it?
No.
It was Jiro Dreams of sushi. Like.
Yeah, but like sushi's, I mean, even that's affected,
trade,
right?
yeah.
I mean, the place where he gets his sushi from got shut down and moved 5 miles down the road and had all kinds of problems with it.
They're dealing with overfishing.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
they don't know if they can even meet the demand. But I think...
And that will change, you know, that additional frustration of not knowing the product is going to be like it's always been.
Yeah.
Changes the way that you run that business.
But maybe in the future there won't be any, like, experts. Maybe people will just be paying each other for offloading different tasks because of time, not because they don't understand it. Like, I think kids are growing up in a world where they're going to know why their website got hacked. But, like, the value of them paying you to do it is just a time-based transaction. Like, I don't have the time to do this. You can do this. It's not, I don't know that, because everyone can be a semi-expert at everything now, you don't have to, like... Maybe those conversations won't happen in the future, where people will be like, well, like my dad's another example, because he's a mechanic, and there's that stereotype where mechanics are just trying to, like, make up things that are wrong with your car because they want to charge you extra on the invoice or whatever. And I'm sure that happens, but also I think a lot of it is because people don't understand. Or you and I were talking about, why is a logo sometimes $50 and sometimes $5,000? Like, those are expertise-based things. But maybe with AI, and maybe with people just being more personally responsible for understanding the things that they interact with, it's not just going to be like, you know, here's my car, deal with it because you know about cars. It's like people are going to walk in and already know exactly everything that's going on with their transmission, and they're going to know this and this part, and they can get it on discount from this place, and then it's just going to be paying the person to do the physical work rather than for the expertise.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all overwhelming for me, because I see a part of it and then I see how that might go wrong, and then I see another part and how that might affect that part, and it ends up cascading for me. So, like, I get so far with something and then I kind of close down.
Yeah.
You know, because it's kind of like, well, all right, if we don't have to work anymore, what are we going to do with ourselves? Like, how do you educate a cross-section of society of people who are frustrated with not having education to be able to do some of these things that they see previous generations or newer generations doing? Oh, I want a piece of that. I wish I could do that. Yeah. And they go out and do it, but then there's this kind of annoyance with the system that they didn't get that training at the right time. And I don't know. I think it's just as hard to tell people that, you know, here's basic income, all your needs are met. Every dream that you've ever had, you can go out and you can build that. I mean, that sounds like an amazing utopian life to me. If everybody's doing the thing that they've always wanted to do, it seems perfect. If I can turn up in a job in the morning, like, again, my interpretation of it is a job, but like, if it's something that passionately drives you, like you're into art or you're into, you know, fashion, and you know all of your overheads of life are covered. Yeah. Then that relationship with the job, with people, changes. I don't know. It's overwhelmed for me. It's the options and choices right now on planet Earth are fantastic and incredible, but also overwhelming.
I agree. I feel that a lot.
Like, there's a lot of pressure to be up to date in a way that like my up to date when I was 13 was going and seeing The Magician every Saturday morning, see if we got a new little book of like things that you could buy. Right. And my dad would give me £5 every month, and I'd be happy knowing, well, I wouldn't know because I'm a kid, I had no idea of like time periods.
But you also didn't have the concept of what every other kid had and what what other people knew. Like it's impossible to feel like you have a handle on anything now, and maybe that's just something we need to just give up. Is feeling because we were always the experts. Like, and I say that very humbly, but I was always the go ask Dale, she knows person, and I know you were the same.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's not, because people are just more inclined to like do a Google search. Maybe that's not like a role that exists anymore, or maybe we need to be okay with never being that person anymore.
I'm okay with not
go-to person.
I'm okay with not being that person. I really am with not being that person.
But doesn't that make you feel like you need to have a like 100% 360 understanding of something before you feel like good about it or settled about it? Without, like, that's what stops me feeling overwhelmed, is feeling like I understand something. But it's impossible to understand everything that we need to be.
Again, it goes back to the thing about the expert thing. I don't think there's any value in that anymore.
Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah, like having the 360 on this piece of software, right?
Yeah.
I'm not interested about having the whole 360 in terms of like, this broke, therefore I want to know why it didn't work. I can't recommend this to somebody else. I can't rely on this. Like, so I it's like, all right,
change your relationship
from a time perspective, do I need to move on? Do I need to get another piece of software? It's like, I don't know. It's expending time going through it, you know?
Yeah, and it feels like you're being robbed of that time. It's not like we spend time on things all the time that we don't have a problem with it, but sometimes things take your time and then you have a problem with it. Do you know what I mean?
It just shows how the legacy of something is changing, because I've known Rogue Amoeba for, I don't know, 10 years. And so maybe they're struggling with trying to keep up with the new versions of OS X, and it works differently. I mean, this is all audio and syncing and time based. It must be incredibly difficult to code something like this.
There were updates this morning too, you know, like
oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
that's my point. Like, there was brand new software update this morning.
Could be that.
Yeah,
Totally could be that.
So now, does that make you feel better or no?
It makes me feel better that in my brain it gives me a bit of a resolution of like, oh shit, yeah. But if I'm being paid for this, and I turn up and I'm like, go, and on the stage, and I've just been paid £3,000. Like, I can't
so you have that live anxiety. Yeah, I get that too.
I can't. Like, I've done jobs where it has to be right.
Yeah.
And even though this is kind of hobbyist or whatever, at the end of the day, other people do podcasts, and I don't want to just be, some just throw it together. Like, if you can finesse it and you have the ability to finesse it, you should.
Right.
So I guess it's because I've done that live job before. It's very hard for me to forget those trained inbuilt things. So
isn't that the worst feeling in the pit of your stomach?
Although
live and you're like, this is a nightmare. This is a stress dream. I'm living in a stress dream.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like the front of house sitting on a chair, and everybody was like, oh, we need dinner now, and I'm like, and you're on, and I'm literally sitting on a sofa for an hour, like freestyling, as people were brought to me to chat while they're still eating their dinner, and it was awful. Anyway, we're coming up to 40-something minutes, 45 minutes, and we've just been waffling.
No, but I feel like listen, we had a very real chaotic moment at the beginning of this. And I don't know, for me, maybe you're less this way, but for me, when I am able to break those things down extrovertedly and put words to them and explore why I had the reaction that I had, then I feel like I can put things to rest and then move on with the rest of my day after that.
Yeah.
Instead of just being like... And when we're rushed and when we're like going from client to client to client, that's not a process that I, always allow myself. So it's important. And like, I think it's a very relatable scenario.
Yeah, I think
because
people listening will be like,
something like that can literally put you on like just a negative downward spiral chaos path for the day. And to bring it full circle, if you're waking up at 5 a.m. and that thing happens at 6, you screwed. That's your whole day screwed.
I would say this though, if I wake up 5:30, I get in front of the computer and I'm like bleary-eyed and I've got a coffee and the first thing is I'm gonna piss myself for like half an hour. I'll probably laugh at it and go, that's it.
What do you think a podcast would be like? Like if it was set up the night before and literally we just woke up and stumbled to our respective microphones and was like, literally pitch black. First words out of our mouth in the morning was podcast.
I should try it.
I don't know what it would be like. I know I'm not even a human being at that point.
I reckon somebody would buy a box that had a big like arcade button on it. That was just a box and a button, and you just talked into it, and it just sent the podcast to Anchor. Like if Anchor built themselves like a dedicated box,
standalone podcast.
I'm telling you,
box.
Just a arcade button to start and stop.
Like those really nice clicky Japanese
buttons.
Yeah,
just click it and be like, I'm sick of my job, I hate it so much. Click. And then it just bonded all those together and then sent it up.
Like the original Talk Boy, remember in Home Alone? He had the Talk Boy.
Yes.
And he'd be like,
just like that.
I need an IoT Talk Boy.
There you go. That's gonna be the niche, is like people who take all of that stuff and then put it together like on a Kickstarter and crowdfund it. Those are the things that people are gonna like. Instead of collecting old memorabilia, the memorabilia will be the memories of how shit things were. You know what I mean?
We'll have a seemingly endless supply.
Yeah,
so.
I would have thought so. All right, we're gonna tidy this. We're gonna like quit this now, and I'm gonna try and play the outro.
You can do it.
You
can do it.
I'm gonna mute.
Ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Outro?
Yeah.
Let's go. You can support the show by heading to anchor.fm/positive and clicking the support this podcast button, or by checking out any of this week's sponsors.
Subscribe to Positively Negative wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can hang out with us on Discord by visiting smarturl.it/talkback.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Yay! Bye!